Grammar 2 people. We are in week 31. This is our very last video of the year. It's in our last packet of homework, so it's hard to believe it's gone by fast, but here we go. We're gonna start by talking about something called idioms, and you all probably know what an idiom is. You probably use them. You just don't, you may not have known what they're called. But an idiom is a group of words that separately they mean a certain thing, but when you put them together they mean something entirely different, and they don't really mean what they say. That's an idiom. For example, if you say, "He opened a can of worms," does that mean he really opened a can of worms? No. Sometimes I suppose it could, but most of the time when someone opens a can of worms, that means that they are making some trouble for themselves. Okay, so that is that. So it doesn't really mean anything about worms or cans or anything. It means how somebody's opening up, troubles to come to them. So that is opening a can of worms. He really got himself into trouble. All right. Or if you say something like, she was just really blue this week. What does that mean? Does that mean she was blue? No, it doesn't mean she's blue. If she's blue, she needs to go to the emergency room. But it really means just she's sad. She's very sad. So that's what being very blue means. All right, so that is an idiom. You are going to make a page of idioms, and it's going to look like this. So go ahead and, well, it's not going to look like this when you're done, but this is what's in your packet. So go ahead and cut down your piece of paper. Excuse me. Go down and cut your piece of paper that's the size of your composition book, and we'll get working on this. So get your pencils ready. This is an example of several idioms, but we're going to write up here first, and then we'll talk about the idioms. All right? So at the top here, it says literal language. And literal means exactly what it says. When you say the desk is brown, you mean the desk is brown. When you say it's really rainy outside, then that's literal. That's what you mean. Now, there's non-literal language. Sometimes it's called figurative language. And it doesn't mean what it says. Okay? So if you say it's really raining outside, you know what I mean. It's really raining outside. But if you say it's raining cats and dogs outside, is it really raining cats and dogs? I hope not. That could hurt. It's not raining cats and dogs. It just means raining very hard. Okay, so that is an idiom. It is a figure of speech. Okay, and then so that's all we're going to write here for idiom, figure of speech. So I'm going to show it to you finished. All right. So a phrase, a literal language is a phrase that means exactly what it says. Non-literal language means a phrase that does not mean what it says. So when you say it rained cats and dogs, then that's non-literal language. Non means not. So you can just say not literal language. All right. Then we've got an idiom, which is what this whole page is about. And another thing to call an idiom is a figure of speech. So then we have some idioms here. And they've already they already have them all written out, so you don't have to do any more writing. You can decorate, but let's talk about these. All right, we've already talked about the can of worms. If you open a can of worms, that means you're getting yourself into some trouble. All right, and we've also talked about feeling blue. She's feeling blue. It means she's very sad. All right, so how about this one? 2 heads are better than 1. Do you know anybody with two heads? I don't. Most people just have one head. But what this means is if you have two people together trying to solve a problem, the problem is probably going to be easier to solve than if someone just does it by themselves. All right? Two different people working together are better than just one person trying to work alone. That's just all that means. Two heads are better than one. And then we have let the cat out of the bag. Have you heard that one before? That's not really talking about a cat and a bag at all. It doesn't have anything to do with a cat or a bag. What that means is you're telling the secret. So if you're supposed to be keeping something secret and you tell somebody about it, you are letting the cat out of the bag. And did you notice that none of these have to do with the actual words? None of the meanings have to do with the actual words. That's what an idiom does. And that is why sometimes when someone is not, for instance in English, if someone is trying to learn English and they come across something like this, an idiom, it's very difficult for them to understand because at that point they mostly just know the literal words, what they mean. So if you're putting literal words together, let the cat out of the bag, it doesn't make any sense, and so it's very difficult to understand what that means. And so all languages have idioms, and they're, other languages have different idioms from English. They all have their own way of having of saying things that are in figurative language, and it's an important part of a language because it kind of makes things more colorful and more fun. Okay, so here we go, one more, this one right here, break a leg. So when somebody is going on to stage to do a performance of some kind and you say break a leg, is this what you really want them to do? Do you really want them to break a leg? Of course not. But that is a very common thing that people say to other people who are going on stage to say, do your best, good luck. All right? So it means actually the absolute opposite of what the words actually say. That's what it is with idioms. Okay? So here we go. You go ahead and finish this page. All you're doing is the writing up here at the top, and you are done. This is your very last composition page of the year for Grammar 2. How about that? You've done a lot of pages, and you have made, so if you go back through the book that you've done all year, it's almost like a textbook. It's almost like it's everything, not everything, but it's a whole bunch of things that you have learned this year, and you can go back and review it, and you will know everything you did this year. Okay, it's a great book to keep. You might even use it another year, who knows. All right, so here we go. We've got spelling left, and this week, like last week, you do not have any grammar homework. You only have spelling homework. Okay, and they really, your spelling words are really kind of, they're all different. They're just all different kinds of words, and so they're not really any words that you can say, that you can highlight and say, well, this is the part of the word I especially need to remember in that. So we're not going to highlight any of the words. Part of your lesson this week has to do with dividing words into syllables. So I just wanted to mention a little bit about that and remind you of some things. But again, as in other times, if you aren't sure how to do it, would you please look it up in a dictionary? All right, the dictionary always has the words that are divided up. They always have them divided into syllables. So if you absolutely do not know how they're divided, then look it up. But one of the main things to remember, and we have talked about this with syllables. Remember, we talked about closed syllables and open syllables. Closed syllables are words that end in a consonant. It's like it's talking about a vowel, and a vowel is closed in between two consonants. It's like it can't get out. It can't hop. It has to hop over a consonant if it wants to go anywhere. Okay, it's closed. But if you have an open vowel, if you have an open syllable, that means that it ends in a vowel. So the vowel is free to go off somewhere. I don't, you know. But this is the thing. If a vowel is long, that's when it is in an open syllable. If a vowel is short, it's not an open syllable. It has to be divided after the consonant. So let's look here at some of your words. Okay, how about if we look at favorite? Let's look at it. Favorite. 1, 2, 3. 3 syllables. Favorite. Now the first one, let's look at the first vowel. A. Favorite. Is that a long O, A, or a short A? It's a long A. A. So that means that is an open syllable. So you divide it right after the A. All right. That's an open syllable. Now the other one's favorite. Well, it's in between the R and the I. Okay, that's a little bit different. Okay, now let's look at another word. We can look at the word people. The same thing. Now this one's a kind of odd because it has a silent O there, doesn't it? But that's just part of the vowels. So this is a long vowel also. P-E is a long vowel, people. So you put your slash mark, or you divide the syllable after the vowels. Even though the O you can't hear, it's still part of the vowel. So you divide it in between there. All right. They, divided after the A. K, divided after the A. It's all open syllables because they're long. Now let's look at remember. How about remember? It's 3 syllables. So again, open syllable, long E. Put your slash or divide it there. Now let's look at the next vowel, member. The next vowel is E. It's a short E, isn't it? Is it an open vowel? Open syllable? No, it is not, because it's not a long E. It's a short E. So in that case, it's closed in by consonants. So we have slash, mem, M-E-M, slash, and then V-E-R. A lot of times you divide syllables in between consonants if there's 2 consonants, unless the consonants are digraphs or blends. Okay, so you would not divide between the T and the H, because that's a digraph. That says it just says one sound. Okay. Hospital, short O, so it's a closed syllable. And then you can divide between that S and the P, can't you? So just remember that's one way to really remember how to divide words. Then there's words like sunshine that are compound words, and of course you just divide those between the words, don't you? All right? So we are done. This is it. Can you believe it? We are done with Grammar 2. When you finish this spelling packet and send it back in to me, you have no more homework. So it's time for summer to start. All right. Excuse me, got something in my mouth. I'm all choked up here. I have had a great year with you, and I hope you have a great summer. All right? Bye.